Woo! Bum, 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 bum. February 15, Tracy. February 15.
Where does the time go?
EP2. And before you know it, we'll be saying December, blah, blah, blah. And it's the 24th one. But let's just make sure we are sharing to all the various platforms. And then we start this. Tracy, how are you?
I'm trying to juggle technology and this at the same time. Other than that, I'm fine. Not one of my wheelhouses, for sure. How are you? How's the week been so far?
How has the week been? Excellent. It's been excellent. No complaints. Just happy to be here with you. I think it's one of my highs in the last 2 weeks. I hadn't done this in a year, and the creativity was just, my juices were just flowing. I mean, after this, I kept going, yeah. So it's been great. Happy post Valentine's Day.
Yes, happy post Valentine's Day. It's how was it? I mean, do you celebrate Valentine? I mean, it seems to me like it's kind of an American type of thing, but no,
they do. We celebrate.
They do? Okay, so what's the traditional thing you do for Valentine's Day?
Same thing. Red, wearing red. Folks are sending flowers and chocolates to their loved ones. They are, spending time, and they're on Facebook pushing it, and so how was yours?
All the love, sharing the love. We need more of that, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first time in quite a while, I didn't celebrate with Verlin, but hey,
yeah,
who's crying?
She was crying, or you were crying?
Shh! Don't tell it. Why are you putting me on the spot?
I was like, you were crying.
We cried.
We cried. We shared the moment.
I'm sharing it. I'm not going to be the one.
Well, I mean, come on, that's to be expected. I mean, if you were just like, yeah, well, another day without you, really,
yeah.
So it's a good thing.
That's true. So what's on your mind, my dear? What's on your mind? What's going on?
Well, this week has been out to off to the races, so to speak. So I tried it a number of years ago. I was talking to my coach about stuff, and she had recommended, she's like, you really just need to block time out for different things, because there's so much shifts in my schedule on a regular basis. Clients need to reschedule, new things come in, that type of thing. And I just wasn't giving myself allotting enough time, to kind of be that catch-all. And so for the longest time, I've had 2 days a week where I have, big blocks of this time allotted for whatever.
Gotcha.
And so Monday I had a big block of time, and, had some things I was going to work on. And, as soon as the day started, so we had a new range, oven range that was going to be, and they give you that, that wide time, anytime between 9 p.m. and 6 p.m.
It's going to come at 7.
Right. That's a wide range, right? And then they call you the day before, and they shorten that, between 2 and 4. Okay, well, at least but you don't know. You can't really plan up until the day before. So anyway, I knew they were supposed to be coming between 2 and 4. And, so I got up, and I took the dog for a walk, and I noticed that I was like, is it my imagination? Like, her urine was red. So she had blood in her urine. So of course I get back, and, we've never had a problem with her before in that particular way. And my first instincts, because I'm a very instinctual person, as you know, I'm like, well, let me just treat her in case it's a urinary tract infection, something I can do. And let me get in touch with the vet. So that's what I did. We have some things on hand, and, I was able to kind of get that process started, and called the vet. no vets, like nobody's doing walk-ins at this point. The healthcare system is changing, not just for humans, not just for humans, like where I mean, really, it's this, I'm just realizing, what we've just gotten so accustomed to having is, oh yeah, the dog gets sick or we get sick, we go and, you can just get in and whatever. So they said, well, you can get a sample, you can at least bring that in and we'll get it tested. Okay, great. So, get a sample. And then I'm like running it to the vet 20 minutes away and then back. And meanwhile, the people come with the range thing. They decide they want to come a little, well, they asked if they could come a little bit early. I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to, navigate this wide open spot, that I have is like becoming less wide open. Needless to say, they come a little bit early. I was able to get things to the vet, but then they were putting in the range and then they're like, no, it's not working properly. So now you got to call the gas company to come and check this and all of this. Like, and all the flames were like going way too high, like singe your eyebrows kind of thing. Like, yeah, that's not gonna work. So now we don't have a range, right? Like now we have no way to cook in the oven until they come out. And meanwhile, all this stuff. And I have to be honest, I was worried about my dog, right? So
gotcha.
So anyway, I kind of just waiting and I sit back and I'm like, okay, what is the ultimate lesson here? I'm doing what I can do, and that's about all I can do. And I just in that moment really became, not that this is a new piece of awareness for me, but just I'm so used to being able to fix things. Right? Even if it's not physically, like in my mind, I can come to a space where I'm okay. And I was really struggling, and I usually am fine if it's me. If it's someone else that I care about, in this case, my dog, like I just feel so unable to do anything, and I actually started to call other vets. They're like, yeah, no, sorry, we got a 2-week wait. And I'm like, what? I need to find out more immediately than 2 weeks what's going on. So I was really forced, to trust and sit in that space. And it was really interesting because I literally was sitting at the kitchen table thinking about all this stuff. And I get a call and it's the guys that came to, put the oven in. And they're like, oh my God, total brain fart. Like, we installed your oven for natural gas, not propane. We got to come back. It'll take us like 15 minutes and we'll just make the switch. So they come back, they make the switch. Everything's working fine. Brand new range. It works fine. We can cook on it. It's always good.
There you go.
Still waiting to hear back from the vet.
Hey, you got how many more weeks to wait?
But in the meantime, I do what I can. Like I'm, my natural health coaching thing comes out and I'm like, all right, I need to make sure she's going to the bathroom, all these things. By the end of the day, things seem to be normal with the dog as well. So I'm still trying to get in touch with the vet because I do want to know.
Correct.
But I guess the lesson to all of this, and the reason I'm belaboring it, sorry for the people who are like, what is she talking about? Is really that trust and faith. And when we can, that resistance in us to like, ooh, I'm so frustrated. And we want to make it about the world and what's not working. And, just that moment to be able to kind of go, I'm doing all I can do. Maybe if something spurs me on, that's a new idea that I can try as well, that will be more of an intuitive hit. But, this forcing, this efforting, this need to like make myself comfortable is really what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
You're saying that, and I'm thinking on mine just before this, and with the power issue, and I'm saying to myself, I hope power has been going almost every day between 12 p.m. and 6, and that's in our 5 to 6 time, right?
Yeah.
And I am going, oh my goodness, I hope the power doesn't go. I hope, and then I catch myself, hey, if it goes, so what? If it goes, so what? I can turn the lights on and I will be on the battery power for as long as it's on. And when I see it going down, I'd say, hey, Traci, we have 2 more minutes instead of an hour. We will be going short this time because of power issues, right? It's as simple as that. And you were saying it, when we our perception of how it's supposed to be and the reality, that gap makes us anxious, where, gosh, this thing is supposed to be here to our perception. Who says our perception is what's supposed to be happening at that particular moment? It's not, because it's not happening. But we want to go and stretch wood.
Mhm.
We want to stretch wood to meet the other piece and then tack it on. And you can't stretch wood. I mean, you can bend it, you can do a
You
certain
try,
things with
yeah.
it, but you can
Balsam
try.
wood, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But you know,
Oh.
it's we have to really be within ourselves, and I think you said it, just rest and not be anxious, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, what you just said was really powerful. That perception, the gap between perception and reality. And I've been
Mhm.
having that conversation with a lot of people recently. It's like if we're not working with what is, but what is always within our perceptive range, right? And that's always going to be aligned with what's comfortable for us.
Mhm.
But if we look at it from a ripple effect perspective, what in this moment, what's comfortable right for me may be something totally different for you.
Yeah,
And yet the universal force is God, I don't want to, whatever you believe is the universal
correct.
force out there, is sees it all and is looking at just the right, like everything is in its own unique timing, and everything is served in its own rightful way. And
Yes.
again, I know I say this all the time, but one of my favorite quotes is, man plans, God laughs. And it's this idea
Yeah.
of, we think we know what's best, and yet we can't possibly see what's best for everyone, and yet the universal force of how nature works in God and creation does know.
Mhm.
And so that trust is really leaning into, even though this is uncomfortable for me right now. And I think that that's, as things are dismantling right now, which let's just call a spade a spade. There's a lot
Mhm.
being dismantled right now. There's a lot of shocking news coming to the forefront, depending on what you pay attention to, or what realm you're
Correct.
in, or what role you play, or whatever. You may be butting up against a lot of shocking truths about who knows
Mhm.
what. But as things are being dismantled, it doesn't need to dismantle us.
Mm.
We
Preach.
don't have to become dismantled. And I'm going to take that actually from a conversation I had with Jen Russman. Shout out to Woot Woot Jen Russman, my dear friend,
Okay.
who we were talking about a collaboration yesterday, and she was the one that said that, because we were talking about this concept.
Uh-huh.
And she says, what I'm hearing you saying is that, because we've identified ourselves with how we've been taught things need to be.
Mm.
So as those things start to fall apart, we have identified with those things. We feel we're, as the systems are falling apart, we then, as an identity in those systems, start to feel like we're falling apart as well. And what we need to do is, yes, we're all one, but there's that separation piece that needs to
Yes.
happen in our perception, where, in that moment, I don't have control over what happens with my dog ultimately. I can do
Mm.
everything I
Mm.
need to do. I mean, and it's interesting that the time we're like the last couple of days is almost to the mark, the exact year when our other dog passed away.
Okay. Mm-mm.
So there's that internal, like, why am I being so angsty about this? Well, that thing
Yes.
happened suddenly. We didn't see it happening. We couldn't
Yes.
save her. She just dropped and died. It was like, I don't want that to happen again, right? Um,
Correct.
And so all of these things, but ultimately we cannot control it.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So
We
what am I
cannot.
going to do? I can freak out, lose it, for maybe no reason. Maybe reason, maybe no reason. Either way, it doesn't change the reality. What
No, it
what
doesn't.
do I how do I want to position myself instead? So
Wow. I love that. As things are dismantling, we shouldn't get dismantled.
I thought that was
And
brilliant too. Jen, shout out. That was Jen.
to,
I'll give her
to
credit.
to individuals who just, I see people coming in and, hey, let us know what you think. It's post Valentine's Day. What did you get for Valentine's Day? Right? We can stop talking about our serious stuff, and we can talk about your love life.
Well, that's what I got for Valentine's Day.
What did you get?
That's what I got for Valentine's Day, was that lesson. It's not all comfortable flowers. I mean, yeah, by the end of the night, we got to have our time together as a family, which we always
that
celebrate.
red dress.
No, we celebrate as a family. Not wearing any red dress with my daughter.
So I was singing that song to Verlin, like, put on that red dress, slip in those high heels, put on that sweet perfume. It smells good on it. Like, yeah, you way 2,000-3,000 miles away. Shut up. But hey, as we're here talking, please comment. Please, this is the essence of eavesdropping a moment. We are in a sandbox where we play. And as you come here, I see you there. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking, what's going on. And it may become the topic here. So what did I did something that I walked in even though I'm walking in my purpose, right? But I walked in my purpose this weekend. Now, 12 years ago, when God told me to resign, told me to open a foundation, and I opened it to build hospitals, schools, clinics, and around the world. And I said, okay, God, when is this going to happen? So I would travel with my pastor, Pastor Morgan, at Cornerstone Family Church in Raleigh. Hey, Pastor Morgan, if you're listening here, just shouting you out. But I would travel with them, and it was a preparation process of seeing how missions was done, seeing how you engage, how to not give 100% of the funds, but give it in gates and phases, because certain individuals hadn't held 15,000 or 20,000 at one time and then be mismanaged, right? So I'm learning all of those things, and I'm anxious, like the cheese, that the commercial back in the day, that as soon as the cheesemaker comes in the closet, he goes, I'm ready, and he would just ignore the cheese, and 20 times he will come in, I'm ready, and then one day the cheesemaker comes in, and the particular cheese that's always it's just sitting there like, and then that's when they picked him up, right? Because he was mature, he had maturity, he had fermented well. So I'm thinking to myself, when am I going to start doing this? And lo and behold, this weekend we went to Ventown. Is roughly about 3-4 hours away from the city center, and we dug a well, because they needed a well. They needed water. They were traveling across this, I would say, this highway where nobody goes below 80 miles per hour. And there is no walk, it's so too lean. And, the kids are running with buckets on top of their heads, right? And then, we put a piece of pie on top of that. They had the cake in 82, put 2 solar lights in there. So Geek Foundation, sister, I think you've heard about this for the past 3-4 years that we've been talking. We finally did a project, and thanks to all the donors who assisted in doing that.
Wow.
So I'm stoked.
Yeah.
That was my weekend.
I love that, Wulwyn. What that reminds me of too is that as things are starting to, it does bring perspective. As things start to go by the wayside, whatever they are, as things start to dismantle, as they start to change, as we start to revolutionize different things, there is that we get down to the core important pieces that have to do with setting a foundation. And you said foundation, right? So I'm thinking foundation, right? House foundation of anything, and it is really about food, shelter, water, those. Like, we're thinking higher terms, like, oh, I can't get this. I can't get toilet paper in the grocery store or whatever, which I'm not saying isn't important. But what I'm saying is that from a foundational level, you start to realize as things start to come apart, how important those pieces are, and that we can find joy and purpose and a sense of fulfillment from just seeing to those basic principle foundational points. So I just love that. You see, I love it so much. You're getting me choked. But it really speaks to that larger
I hear it.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I have to leave it with you to wordsmith and add so many, just beautiful ingredients on top of what's been stated. I mean, to switch up. And this is for those of you who don't know. For the past 4 years, I've been in awe of Traci when we speak in this place and her ability to use language and words to just present in a way. So if you're looking for someone who can come in and do a keynote at your organization, I reach out to Traci Phillips. She will make your people go,
Thank you, Wulwyn. I did not
oh
pay you for
no,
that.
she didn't pay for that, but no,
That was not a
it's
setup.
it's so true that the foundational things, it's it's what it's for. You can't, like as you were saying it, I laugh. I don't know if when you replay this hashtag replay, you would see when you said water, you said three clothing, you said another thing,
Shelter and
my
food. Yeah.
shelter, yeah, water, shelter, and food. My mouth, I was like, I went because the foundation. Yeah, I'm here to spread love, right? To show the love of God, and the love of God isn't opening the Bible and saying ye must be born again. No, it's experiential. It has to be experienced in order for them to find out or inquire, why did you do this? And the key pieces, you cannot go and talk to a mother about God when her baby doesn't have food. You can't go to you can't go and talk to a dad when a child's school isn't in order. You can't do those things because right there and then it's all about using from the point of the man or the woman, because they're only coming to fake it to get what's given.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do go and prepare and take care of those foundational things, when our minds are free, like imagine, Traci, you and I are sitting in front of cameras uh, doing this. If our kids or our husband or a wife had an issue or problem and the foundational things weren't in order in our homes, would we be sitting here?
Bye.
No,
Yeah.
bye, bye.
Mhm.
Bye. I love that. I just started replay how you were jetting out of there. I mean, bye. We are not, we are not going to be here.
Mhm.
So, as we walk this thing called life, um, foundational things are important. They're so important, and I'm just been led to say, as you're doing your consultancy, right, working with visionaries, uh, most times they don't think foundation because they're blue sky. They're blue sky thinking. They're thinking of the next big thing, and we tend to leave the foundation out most times, and we have to catch ourselves and come back down to foundational levels and do the work and fly again.
Oh my God, absolutely. And I'm going to do that thing you were just giving me props for.
Uh-huh.
You did, I mean, you just set, like, I forgot how much fun this is. Like, you just set, like, I set you up, you set me up. It's all fun. But, like you talked about it being an experience. So a mother's not going to pay attention to you going, or, on and on about the grace of God and all of this until she experiences the grace of God. And if
Ooh,
what's important to her is food for herself and her child, she's going to experience the grace of God through that food, right? That man came and brought me food. That is where God spoke to me, because that is where I needed it the most, right? That's the grace, right? That's the actual
wow,
experience
wow.
with God's force. And so you said it directly, and that's it. I mean, you can't be coming under those circumstances without them making that connection.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
that's going to be, I had no food for weeks. Then I had food. Where did it come
Yes.
from? I know
Yes.
better that there may be, this person's talking about God. There's something there, right? Because the
Yes.
only thing that's different in my experience was that I didn't have it here and I have it here.
There you go.
Mhm.
Oh, Traci, there she goes again.
I love doing this too. It's like a puzzle. What am
It
I
is,
doing and where does it go?
isn't it? Isn't it? And I think this is why we, there's someone out there. Listen up. Those of you who are watching, those who are on replay, there's a match for you out there at every level of your life. And I'm talking about your husband and wife. I'm talking about collaborators in your business. I'm talking about in your workplace, individuals who are going to just gel with you. Look for those people and take a chance. If you've been hurt before, if other collaborations happen, because I tell you, Traci, I had multiple collaborations before that, and they stopped because there wasn't a need for it anymore, or before it even started, it didn't even start. So I could have had the oh my goodness, nobody's out there to work with. Nah, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. No, go out, meet people, and when you find, here's the piece I'm gonna end and then punt to you. When you do find someone who you collaborate, who you just gel with, like what we're doing here isn't planned. It's not what, oh, Traci, when the show starts, I'm going to talk something about you. There are shows we don't even talk about what Traci does or what I do. Nothing. We just talk what's here for the moment. But here it goes that we're just going and I think it's a Valentine's pixie dust that's on us here. Just sharing the love here. And this is a collaborator that we paused for 1 year. And when we came back, we're like, we're still going. So go out there, find people, give your heart, because it's giving your heart and your time and your resources to grow.
Mm. I love that. Well, and I love you. I mean, on Heart's Day, it's still that pixie dust. I mean, it's about joy and fun.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yep.
we are better people in all ways. We're healthier, we're more fun ourselves, like we give off good energy, like we create, at a higher level, when we're having fun, and so much in our culture here in the United States, like work and fun, like like there's been this separation, like somehow if you're having fun, you're not being serious.
It didn't work. Yep.
And I'll tell you some of my greatest, so my conversation with Jen Russman, I love this woman. Like she is dynamite. But one of the reasons I love her so much is we laugh. Like I'm thinking I must be 10 times like healthier even after I get off the phone with her than when I got on the phone, because and it's not like we're trying. I mean, she just, first of all,
Correct.
she has that energy, but
yes.
I have never had so much fun doing important, serious work. And what it's taught me in just having people like that, where you can give so much value, but you can give so much more when you're actually enjoying it. Yes. It's not a slog fest. It's not hard. This whole thing, like if no pain, no gain, if you're not working hard, you're not working. Like, let's throw that stuff out. Right?
Yes.
Because there's another option. There are actually multiple, but there are other options to how we get there from here.
Yes.
And we were laughing so hard. We were trying, you know how I am with analogies.
Uh-huh.
And I just have to bring this up because it may not be funny to anybody else out there, but we were giggling for quite some time. Kind of reminds me of the whole thing with you just talked about with the cheese. Like that just internally made me laugh. Mm-hmm. But I was trying to think of think about it. If all of a sudden, because I was talking about, as we wake up, as things become dismantled, it clears the air, it clears the space. It creates transparency and clarity. It may be uncomfortable, but it clears the field, right? And I said, if that happens too fast, could you imagine if you went from not seeing anything to seeing everything? And I used it, I was like, it's like if you were a human black light. And at the same moment, I don't know if you know what a black light is, but
the black light is.
I realized what that meant and sounded like at the same moment as and we both bust out laughing the same. I was like, oh my God, yeah, could you imagine if you're going around with a black light where you see, like, talk about OCD, like
yeah.
Too much.
Too much
information. But so you got to watch your analogies though. But we couldn't get out of that visual because we're both like that. Like we're just like, oh God, yeah, that would be
Yes,
really bad.
yes.
But
Imagine
that's
that,
become like
right?
our joke is the like a
Black
human
light.
black light. Yeah.
I am. So you guys need to market that. Put on a hat. HBL.
Oh no, people be like, oh God, no,
Don't
that
be around me.
sounds
I would see
bad.
everything here.
Come to us and
But
become the human black light. That's
who you gonna call? Who you gonna call?
the human
Human
black light. Yeah,
black
I don't want to
lights.
do that though. Like I can tell you what to do your own. Yeah, I mean, that was so the whole point is
Uh-huh.
we were having so much fun, but what it stimulated was more ideas on the concept. And it's just, and it seems like every time we come up with a good idea, there's some sort of funny thing attached to it. Like that just makes us build that concept out. Like you said, with visionaries, which we both are, we need to build the foundation. Like we got the idea and then we need to actually, ideate
Make it
down
happen.
to the strategy and the execution aspects of things. And that just
Wow.
makes it, because it's not our wheelhouse as visionaries. So to be able to do that, we almost need this fun, like piece to, kind of get us to go in that direction. Because we could just stay up here with the ideas. I mean, if people just come to me for ideas all day long and I could get paid for that,
There you go.
I would be
There you
set.
go. That's
I
true. That's
could come
true.
up with them. I just don't want to have to be the one to execute.
Yes, yes, yes. Let them connect the dots, right? Like I think it should be there, there, and there. You're talking about coming up with ideas. Makes me. I built a chicken coop yesterday.
Look at you, Mr. Hands
Yeah,
we got.
yeah.
Yeah,
Built a
we got
chicken
wells, we
coop.
got chicken coops,
Girl, sister,
houses
sister.
next, like
Oh yeah.
villages. Like next
There,
time we come together, you're like, Traci, last weekend I built a village
build a village.
with all my friends, my thousands of friends that just found me because they were watching Eavesdrop, and they're like, "Oh, you can do a well. Let's do a village."
Let's build a village. Look, you're making now. You've got my funny bone. You tickled my. Everything's gonna be funny here for me.
Yeah, and if you're not in that space, I know it's gonna be super annoying for y'all.
Human blacklight.
That's right.
On. um, what did you do? What did you do last week, Traci?
What did I do? What was
I
the question?
built. No, the question is, what did you do last week? And then you just coming up with build a consortium of just visionaries, and we're taking over the world, right? Oh Lord,
Yeah, I did
wow.
do that though. We're not taking over the world yet, but I do have a
Oh
group
yeah,
of people I put together. Well, I put together, like I collect people, as I
there
oftentimes
you
say.
go.
It's like,
Yep.
ooh, I see your, talents and genius. Ooh, I see, and I think I see how you guys can work
Superpower.
together.
Yeah.
So I got a group of 4 other visionaries who work with my client base, but they do in different capacities, right? So I was
There
like,
you go.
hey guys, we need to like build this thing. So we're in the beginning stages of figuring out what that's going to look like. But I'll tell you what, I'm having so much fun. I'm not doing
Wow.
this thing alone anymore,
Yes.
and it just
Yes.
like, again, we each can really get a lot of satisfaction from doing what we were naturally designed to do.
Hmm.
But God, I mean, I've been saying for a while, if God meant for us to be independent from one another, he would have put us on separate planets.
There
Like
you go.
the reason we're here together is we're supposed to be creating together. And I'm really in that season of my life.
Mm.
I'm like,
You
I
know,
did the independent, like, it's okay. I got this.
yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah,
been there, done that. I am so ready to not just work with other people, but have fun.
yeah.
Really have fun. We can be serious and have fun.
When you were saying that, what came to my mind, and you said he would have put us on different planets. Just we were built for community. We were built to collaborate. We were built to have our ideas come together, and make this gumbo of goodness. And I this reminds me of a story. I don't know if I told you. If I did, Traci, say, Wulwyn, stop, because I'm having these issues now with my family where I'm telling the story, and they go, "Is that the story about?" And I'm like, "Oh, did I tell this?"
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's a oh.
I said, oh, I
right.
told it to you. I said, oh, it's all right. But no, the story is every time I would, so in the past, in the early 2000s, when we got married, I was flipping houses. And I would, every time I would flip by myself, it was, the returns was just peanuts. For those of you who listen, I got my hand like a peanut, small. And when it hit me, it didn't hit me. It hit me afterwards. Did a collaboration with my mother-in-law, and the returns were great. And I'm sitting because I love to do post mortems, and I'm thinking on lessons learned. Right, I'm going through. I'm like, what was different in this? And it was, you collaborated with someone. You didn't take the
Yeah.
burden. You didn't. You weren't the one thinking everything. And then it hit me that moving forward, never go in alone. However, you have to go in with someone who's your, like what we were speaking here, your match, right? That someone that can understand, and you have the vision, you have the values uh, that are not identical but similar, forward thinking, and when you get in that space, you create and you go further.
Yeah, it's the complementary values.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry, I was like
Mhm.
muting my because they came a little bit late to clean the house, and so if you all hear
Why
buzzing around and
why did it?
please excuse them.
Every Wednesday they come and guess what they're about to do? They're about to come to the door and
Yeah,
vacuum
exactly,
cleaner.
exactly. I'll try to mute it. We'll be doing I mean, and this is part of I think what I was talking to somebody about me and technology and me and things going awry when I'm dealing with technology. And I've learned I was on but this was actually very funny. I was on a podcast recently, and for
Uh-huh.
whatever reason, I kept like freezing. And we couldn't
Okay.
figure out why. So we're like, okay, do we reschedule this? I mean, everything is hooked up. I've got full bars. I mean, everything seems to be fine. So we'll just roll with it. I literally had to pop in and pop out. So it was like this disappearing act all the way through the podcast. It became like this joke where it's like, oh, when is she's going to beam in? Like, oh, we'll ask her questions and quick, ask her questions because she's going to beam back out again. And they just rolled with it and just rolled with it. And it was just like, there you go, that experience. I'm sure other
That,
people are like, oh God, we don't want Traci on our podcast. But it was not, it never happened before, but with these particular guys,
mhm.
they were just like that. They're like, oh, this is
Yes.
perfect. Like we'll work with it, we'll make it funny, it
Yes.
makes it different. People who are more serious and they need it to be that streamlined probably would be like, oh hell no. Um,
Yep.
but
Yep.
that's what I'm saying is it allows us to get more comfortable with the upsets, with the
Yes.
dismantling, with the
Yep.
things that go awry and unplanned, where not only can we sit with it, we can actually roll with it with humor,
Mm,
which,
mm.
I have to say I'm a playful person, but I haven't always allowed that in during challenging
Correct.
moments. And it's a
Correct.
really natural fit for me as
Mm,
I'm
mm, mm.
embracing it now. It's like, it's very easy for me to just be like, oh, yeah, like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's,
I think it removes the pressure.
yeah,
It removes the pressure of you that come what may, right? You can dismantle all you want. Monkey wrench, you can come in and do whatever you want to do, but you will not see me get dismantled. I that's a that's a good resolution, that something that's coming your way, it's gonna come. And I will just position myself not to be affected by it. And that positioning is deciding that if it dismantles, it dismantles, and
yeah.
I'll be rolling with it. I'll be rolling with it.
What just hit me too, Wulwyn, is I've always done that because I mean people would be like, we never see you sweat. Like you would never know all that stuff was going on, but I would
Mhm.
hide it.
There you go.
And what's different now, so it's like I've always rolled with it. I mean, I've had some crazy stuff, going on in
Hmm.
my life over the years. And people are just like, oh, it looks like you're always put together. You're always everything. And I was like, oh, really? but what's different now is I'm not hiding it, but I'm also not like, you know, I mean,
Correct.
sometimes if I'm not
Yeah.
feeling it, I'll be like, look, I got to be honest. I'm feeling a little bit sad, or I'm feeling a little bit not right. I've
Yeah.
rescheduled things for that instead of hiding it and trying to push
Oh,
forward.
wow.
It's
Wow.
like, if I really can't bring the energy I feel this engagement needs, I will reschedule. I won't show up and fake it. And that's what's changed most within me.
Wow.
You know, so when I can actually show up, and if it's happening in the moment, there's nothing I could do. It's like, okay, like, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but here we are. Let's go
Wow.
with it.
That's Traci, that is maturity. That is maturity.
Mm.
Owning your own space, owning and not, oh, wow. That's so whew, I
Feel
need to process.
it.
Yeah, I need to process that. Someone just jumped in and we're just talking about not getting dismantled in a dismantling space per se. And Traci, you just, if you're not up to it, you don't go, you postpone. That that is powerful. That is so powerful. That is not having other things control the narrative, control your who you are, because we're so stuck on what are they going to say about me, what are they going to say when it's your health. And you coming in whole makes them receive a better version of you versus the version that comes in forcing it.
And you think we can't pick up on that, at least subconsciously? When someone is looking, I mean, I think about that story that I told recently, you know, where I'm like perfect on stage, but the guy picked up that my heart wasn't open. He's like, I can't connect with you.
Yes,
Like, I
yes.
can't, you know, so if we want to show up and bring value and be connected, then we need to be in that space to do it. And I really think COVID quarantine and COVID and all the stuff we've been dealing with health stuff in the last 3 years have really trained us on that. Because how many times would people go to work sick pre-COVID?
Hmm.
You know, you people are like, no, I gotta push through, and they're not even thinking about who they might like spread that to.
Correct.
And COVID has really made us more aware of how, and let's just talk about this from an energy standpoint, how we
Mm,
spread not just COVID energy, and how people can, that can affect people, right? So when we
yes.
show up in bad energy, how that affects people. So think about that as spreading COVID, spreading bad energy. Like, so no, go into quarantine. Like, you're sick, get better, and then go back out. Like,
Yes.
you're not feeling it, you're not in that space, get better, and then go share your energy. Because if you don't think that vibe or whatever is going to affect the people you go and vibe with, you got another thing
Yes.
coming. And so, I mean, again, you know me, I like to open things like, it isn't just about COVID. It isn't just about, like, what are the lessons that we've just been through? I mean, the positive, there's been a lot of
Hmm.
dismantling difficult things. Yes. But what does it mean us think about? What does it mean us become more aware of? I mean, I could name more good things that came out of the quarantine. And again, don't get me wrong, folks, if you had terrible, horrible, tragic things happen, I don't want to trigger you.
Yeah.
I mean, globally, I mean, humanity speaking. I don't mean
Mm,
individually,
mm.
right? And yes, you know, we've lost a lot. And I'm not trying to discount that. I'm not just glazing over it and trying to be good vibes, you know, hashtag, you know, high vibes only. But what
Correct.
I am saying is if we're going through it, kind of like what I started this conversation with, if it is what it is, and we miss the lessons, and we
Mm,
have to repeat it. I don't know about you, I'm
mm.
gonna have to repeat it, right? Because these lessons are for all of us. And I mean, I really feel like that, you know, kind of, I mean, I'm very aware of that. Like, it's not
Mm.
just the sickness part. Like, if I'm feeling stuffy, I'm like, ooh, I'm not going to go
Yeah.
there. I don't yet know. I mean, how many times have people being tested negative for COVID, and then 2 days later they're positive, and then they've just been with like all these people because
Correct.
when they tested right before the event, they were negative, but then it took a while
Yeah.
for it to show up, right? So if I'm going to take responsibility, because I
Mm.
don't want to spread anything that might harm other people. That goes
Mm.
to everything.
Wow.
It goes to our energy. So I'm not going to fake it anymore. Just not. This is me, folks. This is really
Wow. Wow. Yeah. We pick it up. You said humans, we pick it up. We're humans. Everybody's got a level of discernment, a perception in them that, yeah, and you just pick it up. You pick it up like your husband and wife, you know each other and you see the person and you look at the body language. We all have seen multiple humans doing greatly and we've seen them doing badly. And we know in our reference points in our catalog back there, when we see one, we go, when somebody does this, it means that. So this person, and I think what it does for me on the receiving end is I put up something to protect myself.
Yeah.
I protect myself, and you're there going, but I came out here to help you, and you're doing that. Yeah, you're doing that too.
I can't reach you behind your walls. Hello. I'll be like, what was that show? Home Improvement, or where the neighbor, like, you only just saw
The eyes, yeah.
like, yeah, like that the whole time he was talking. Like, I didn't I can't really connect with all of you.
You're hiding. You're hiding. Come on. You hit already. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's
For
go.
what? For what? Because then we're presenting something that isn't really us in that moment, right? Like
Yeah.
this false persona. So that's really what's being dismantled right now, are false personas. The way things have been organized and systematized to look good, but there's a lot of CRAP
Mm.
under the, poop emoji, underneath the
Yeah.
surface that isn't healthy and good. And I don't know, but if I'm going to be investing my time, energy, money, trust in
Yeah.
something, like,
Yeah.
and we do this person and organization, so people become groups, become organizations, become the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, I kind of want to know what I'm investing in. So if you're
Mm.
showing me something that isn't you, if you're showing me something that isn't real, if it looks good, but under the hood, it ain't running, like, let's. I'm sorry, it's flowing now. Yeah, I just,
Serenara.
because I want you said it
Yeah.
best. How do we
Yeah.
know who's right for us? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
where it's like, I thought that was right because on the surface it looked like it was a good. It's like when they say things look good on
True.
paper, but then you get to know the person or you get to know the thing that looks good on paper, and you're
Mm.
like, ooh, no, that was
Yeah.
not a good fit for me.
Yep. Yep.
Right? What a
Yep.
waste of time. If we just like, there was
Cut
a
it.
there was a Super Bowl commercial. It was, all I remember is naked people, but I
Uh-huh.
remember thinking that I don't remember what the commercial's about, which is my point. But it was probably one of the better ones because there were not such good commercials in Super Bowl this year. Like, what happened? Some of them I just downright didn't
Wow.
understand. I was like, I am
Wow.
confused. But it was, the first thing I thought of was, oh, it was an Adam and Eve. It started off with Adam and Eve, and like
Okay.
the whole Eden, and then people walking around naked. Like, but if we think about that in less, like, you know realistic terms,
Gotcha.
it is this idea of, if you show me who you are and I can show you who
Mm.
I am. It reminds me of when I was dating, and I actually learned this really well, and it was so liberating when you could
Mm.
go on a Match.com date, and you both realize that you're not a match, and you could be like, this was really fun, but I'm not feeling it. The other person's like, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Not their mind. And it's like, I'm like, let's not waste our time, because we're both here
Yeah.
to find love.
Yeah.
And if this isn't it,
Yeah.
let's move on and not
Yeah.
pretend because we're afraid of
Wow.
what the other person might think or feel.
Correct.
We just need to do more of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Be naked. Be vulnerable, huh?
Yeah. Going back to the
Yeah.
name. I mean, she has data on it, so it
Yeah.
obviously scientifically
But
proven.
let me ask this question. I've heard, I don't know, it hit me. I've heard people say you have to be vulnerable to the right people, right? To the
Oh,
right
yeah.
persons. Uh, is that really, is that true, or
I mean,
you
I think
are?
I know what you're asking
Well,
is
tell me. Tell me.
levels of vulnerability. I mean, there's showing who you are. You're showing your true colors, and then there's showing aspects of yourself that might be more personal. And you want to be very careful of because I mean, there are still people out there who are looking to take advantage of what
That's true.
they learn about you, right? Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
true.
always going to be the
That's
case.
true.
But I
That's
think
true.
back to what you said, we all have discernment. I mean, we all can, and that's one of the things I do in my coaching is teaching people how to literally improve their intuition,
Yeah.
their EQ, right? Their emotional intelligence, building all their intelligence, their intuitive intelligence, their emotional intelligence, and their rational intelligence,
Yeah.
right? And how that affects decision making. But back to the, using discernment, Brene Brown says there's a difference between airing your dirty laundry and being vulnerable, right? We're not
Correct.
to just share all the goods. Like I'm not
Yeah.
flashing people, right?
Yeah. That's true.
Showing people who you are and flashing them.
Correct.
So I think
Right.
it's really important that because some people just they may not be aware of it, but they're using it to get attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when people show up that way, it's like, oh my God, all these things going on in my life, and you're like, God, and then everybody's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and what it's disempowering is people are learning that trauma and drama gets them love and attention, and that's not, it's like if you're not going to get attention the positive way, you do it in a negative way, and most people aren't doing it consciously, but playing the victim is a way to get significance.
Yeah.
And when you're not aware of that, you can feed into it, whether you're doing it yourself or whether you're buying into someone else's needing to get significance that way. It's not healthy. So yeah, we really want to look at how all these parts play together. What I'm saying is if I am energetically aligned with my energy in the moment, then it's about recognizing, is that a fit for over here, right? So if my friend invited me to go celebrate her birthday, and I'm taking account of my energetic self in the moment, and I'm down in the dumps, and I need to honor that. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're just like, you know what, I'm going to give myself 30 seconds and then I'm moving on. Sometimes it's like, there's something, I don't know what it is, but I can't get my energy up, and we're like, oh, but she's going to be so disappointed if I don't show up. And when we start to fake it, when we find ourselves like, oh, I'm putting myself in a position where I have to fake it, that's what I'm choosing not to do. When instead I'll call her up and be like, look, this is where I'm at.
Wow.
And this is what I'm feeling about that. And if you really want me there, I don't want to not be a part of something that could really be meaningful for you, but I also don't want to rain on your parade. And I know that you're going to overlook that. And I might start to try to fake it if I start to feel that I'm doing that. And I want to show up authentically for you. I want to be there in my real form in this moment. And so let's decide, is this a fit? I don't think it's a fit, but that's good, solid communication in relationships, but we don't, I think we have this opportunity to start learning to do those things and not and do it unapologetically.
Correct. Wow. So levels of vulnerability, and you were right. You hit it on the nail. It was what I was asking, because everybody you meet, there's a level you have to show your authentic self in order to get the match. Because if I'm faking and you're faking and we're not matching, we're faking the match, and one day it's gonna blow up and we go, but you weren't, you also weren't, right? So it's giving it properly. This is dessert time, and we're soon going to wrap up and goodbye. Traci, what's on your mind? How you want to be a dessert?
So I just love being back in this space because again, it tends to be very similar to how I have conversations with people who I'm close to. Gotcha. But there's a certain level of, obviously, when we're kind of doing it in this platform that just makes it, I'm paying more attention to what I'm saying, I think. And so then where it's like we're learning from the engagement more. I guess I'm just more present is what I'm really saying. Which I can take give me a takeaway from that piece. But I really feel like today's conversation has illuminated a lot of things that I've been finding kind of coming up for myself. And the other piece I wanted to say is it goes back to disruption. The more we start to show up authentically and change plans, it causes more disruption. Because part of what has kept things status quo is that we do what's expected of us.
We
when
fake
we
it.
start doing what's right for us, that will change all sort. Because if I then break, I'm saying I can't come to this luncheon or whatever, and then that, somebody else has expectations, and that, that starts to throw everybody else off. When I do what's right for me, it throws other people off. But we're not here to make everybody else happy. We're here to be in alignment with ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it will disrupt the status quo temporarily. But what we're really making room for to take the place of status quo is an ability to be more flexible, more authentic, and to let go, right? To let go. When I expect people to show up the way I expect them to show up, that's control. And, to get to the point where I'm not trying to control, I mean, again, I'm not, I don't think any of us would look at this as a conscious thing most of the time. But I have to get okay with change. I have to get okay. And when I do, things become aligned. Like the guy's just like coming and fixing I didn't have to do anything as soon as I let go.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Like, do what you can, work with it, be aligned with what's going on in you, make the discernment decisions on how that's going to work best. And if that disrupts other people's expectations or plans or whatever, communicate the best you can to try to bring them in on why you're doing this and the importance of that vulnerability piece and staying connected, even if you're disrupting or letting people down. Let them know why, right? Let them know where you're coming from, because again, like a lot of times that can heal that. But I far too often people doing that and they're not communicating. So they just break plans and people don't know why, and then they're left to their own thoughts about it.
Wow.
Guess I'm not important to them or whatever. So do both. Do what's right for you and communicate that. Let people know where you are in time and space.
Again, just this week, I'm excited about sharing something with Verlin, and she answers the phone. So every time she answers the phone, I'm expecting a long or good conversation. And I'm going, yeah, and she's, honey, it's you, are you? And I could feel something, on the phone. And it's like, what's going on here? And then I kept talking and talking, as you know, I talk. And she goes, honey, I just got off a webinar to speak to you for a short while, and I need to get. I said, aha! I said, I noticed something. You were a bit short. She says, yeah. And then I said, God, thank you for communication, because had she said, okay, take care, bye, I gotta go, I'd be like, where is she rushing to? But I understood her assignment. She was trying to just come and give a piece and then go. Whereas I'm feeling, gosh, what is this woman doing? What's she doing? But she communicated so well. And it's like, wow. And most of the time, it really is about communication. It's, whew.
90%
Traci.
of the work I do is all communication related. And,
Yep.
do people a favor. Don't expect them to just figure it out because they know you. It's like, oh, they'll understand. They know me. No, actually tell them. They may know. They may be fine, but just tell them anyway.
I think
Right?
that's respect. It's
It
respecting. It's
is. It's
respecting
love.
them.
It's
Yeah.
love. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Traci, we are 2 more minutes in to our time off here. It's time for your goodbye, a wrap up and goodbye. What's on your mind
Well,
that you want to leave?
I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for, anybody who's listening in and supporting us. It's been a fun ride so far, and it's great to be back in the seat, and coming together every 2 weeks. And so I'm just feeling grateful, especially to have fun. Like, I mean, I'm thinking about the last hour, and we talked about some really important things, but we also had fun and we felt connected. And I feel more aware of even things going on within me, more than I was before this all started. So, for that I'm really grateful. What about
I'm
you?
not gonna I'm not gonna add anything to that. All I say is I'm grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful being back in the seat, in creativity flowing. Grateful that I'm collaborating with you. Grateful that people are coming on here today. They were pretty shy. Don't know why. Oh, I'm a rapper. You were pretty shy. I don't know why. I know my daughter's gonna go, Daddy, you corny. But thank you so much to all of you who popped in, popped out. I know a replay is there. Really appreciate it, Traci. I tell you, don't be dismantled when things are dismantling. We're built for community, owning our space. And then you said 3 things at the end: have to be flexible, authentic, and let go. Those are gems. So see you guys in 2 weeks. That would be February. Oh no, March 1st. Gosh, it's March? Okay, y'all. Y'all take care.